episode of the Darrin Horn Show. It is presented by St. Elizabeth Healthcare. They know you have questions, and at St. Elizabeth, they personalize care with the answers you need. I'm Rick Broering alongside head coach of the NKU Norse, Darrin Horn. And Coach, we can call this the Hall of Fame edition. We've got a couple of Hall of Famers, not just one, but two of them joining us for today's show. We'll start with Brenden Stowers, former player from 99 to 2003, and now an assistant coach on the women's staff. Brenden, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate you doing this and spreading the Norse word out in the community and basically nationwide.
First of all, we have to say congratulations because we recently got word that you are going to be part of this year's Hall of Fame induction class. What was it like to get that call?
Oh man, it's such. I hate using the word blessing, but it's such a blessing because, I mean, I wouldn't be here without everybody in my life. My parents, my grandparents, my brothers, and my teammates. Coach Shields, who was just on here a little bit earlier, really pushed me to be the best player, and I never really played for those kind of accolades. I just wanted to win, and whatever position coach put me in, I just tried to excel at it. So I'm very honored, very humbled, and this place is family. This place is home to me. So it's just a big blessing.
Coach, you guys always talk about that. You're not playing or coaching for the milestones, but something like a Hall of Fame, that's something that is nice to get recognized for, right?
No, it really is. To me, it's the ultimate honor for a place to recognize when they go back, especially at a place like NKU where there have been so many great players and there's been so much winning done over the years for people to recognize you individually, to say, hey, a big reason we've been that good is because of what you did and separate you into a special class. I think it's the ultimate honor that you can have as a player. And so really happy for Brenden. And we were talking off air, before we started here, like, there's been some great players here, you included, that, the reason we've been able to transition to Division I is basically we had a Division I program here long before we ever made the transition. So tell us a little bit about what that means to you. You were talking about the teams you competed against, Southern Indiana, Kentucky Wesleyan, who all had, legit Division I players and just the level of competition.
Yeah, absolutely. So Southern Indiana, which you mentioned, had Coach Bruce Pearl, who's at Auburn, came from Tennessee. I mean, he's just crushing right now. So he's, I think they were ranked number 2 before they just lost. So he brought that same kind of energy, that same kind of style of play, and those same kind of athletes at the Division II level. That was a big rivalry of ours. Always a nice guy, but I mean, just competing with him. I mean, they brought out the best in you. Kentucky Wesleyan, which was, I mean, I can only do this. That still the KWC letters in that order. It's just one of those things. Coach Harper down there also brought in big time Division I transfers. So with Coach Shields obviously being a great coach, adapted, brought in players that would compete, if not beat them, which we feel like we were better than them every year anyway. So it really got started before I got here. I grew up as a kid coming to games and watching, and got the chance to play here. My father, who's actually in the Hall of Fame also, was on the second team here. My godfather, Richard Dirksen, was on the first team. So, I mean, black and gold, I mean, it's just in my blood. And for me to give everything that I can to that program and still continue to give, I mean, that's just an honor that I get to bear every day.
You mentioned your dad, Jeff, was a player here back in the 70s, is in the Hall of Fame, and I don't want to bring it up. He is 3 spots ahead of you on the all-time scoring list. So I imagine there's a little pride back at home.
You didn't want to bring it up, but you did.
But I had to because I wanted to set this up. How cool was it to be like, well, now I'm in the Hall of Fame too, Pops. Make some room.
Yeah, so I'm going to look at the camera and talk to my dad. You were Hall of Fame. I'm in there now, but I'm still All-American.
Great point. Great point.
But no, it's really cool. It's really special because he laid the foundation for all of us. I mean, my younger brother played with me here. I had an older brother that played here also. But I mean, just in the driveway working with us when he was playing in men's leagues, he'd take us with him. He was just always there coaching us all the way through. So he laid the groundwork. So, I try to follow that footsteps with my kids. I want my kids to be better than I was. So that's kind of how I viewed his, how he fathered us. And I want to take the same approach with my kids. But it's awesome being a father-son. And I know there's another one going in that draft class mother-son, so with Drew McDonald. So it's pretty special. It's pretty cool. I don't know how many times that happens, but we got 2 in one class.
We're going to talk to him in just a minute, but real quick, you made the decision to come back here as an assistant coach for the women's team. What went into that decision? Because you had a great thing going for you as the head coach at Simon Kent. Yeah,
coaching in college has always been a goal of mine, a dream of mine. I was a GA at Xavier under Brian Neal, former assistant coach here, and it really just sparked my interest. It really just got me into coaching as far as at the college level. And once I got a taste, I wanted to be back here. I love my time at Simon Kent. I love my girls. I still love my girls. I still call them that. My father took back over for that program. So, but like I said, this is home also. And this is a place I really wanted to be. I've gained so much knowledge, so much experience, and everything that I really have came from this university. So I just wanted a chance to keep giving back to it.
Congratulations on the induction. Thank you so much for joining the show. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks, Coach.
You're watching the Darrin Horn Show, presented by St. Elizabeth Healthcare.
Do you have an experienced ACL doc you can recommend?
I'm right here.
Can you tailor treatment to me?
I'm right here.
Is it possible to get medical advice in the middle of the night?
I'm right here.
At St. Elizabeth, we provide a faithful commitment to the community, innovative treatments, and unsurpassed advancements in care. We understand you have questions, and at St. Elizabeth, we personalize care with answers you need.
We live with you, build with you, grow up with you, and dream with you. At Central Bank, we belong to the same communities you do. You're our neighbors, friends, and business partners. And through the relationships we build with you every day, we consistently serve you better. That's what highly personal banking is all about. We start with you.
It starts with the slice to make fresh cut fries, the squeeze to make fresh lemonade, and the sizzle of the sub. Oh yeah, pin-station.com.
Join Kentucky Wild and make a difference for our threatened wildlife. Your membership supports opportunities to experience wildlife conservation projects side by side with the Kentucky Wild team and receive some sweet gear too. Join today. Annual memberships start at $25.
Thanks for coming back. Darrin Horn Show, presented by St. Elizabeth Healthcare. And now we are joined by our second Hall of Famer for this show. He played at NKU from 2015 to 2019. He left as the school's all-time leading scorer and rebounder, and plenty of accolades along with that. Drew McDonald is with us. Drew, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me, Rick. Coach, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we wanted to congratulate you first and foremost. Take us through the moment. We were talking to Brenden. What is that like when you get the call telling you you're going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
It's a surreal moment. No matter how much you can kind of like look down the line and think it's going to come, or people will tell you, hey, you're going to get that phone call at some point, and being so close out. I mean, graduating in 2019, it's 2024, so only 5 years, and the phone rings and you start thinking, all right, why is the AD from NKU calling you? Like, is it this? Is it that? And then she tells you, it just kind of hits you like, you kind of get a chance to look back and really realize everything that you're able to accomplish, not only as a player, but as a teammate, and winning championships and the individual accolades, and it just kind of all hits you at one time.
We talked about this with Brenden, but it really is a family affair with you two. Your mom, now a Hall of Famer. She was just recently inducted as a women's basketball player. Your dad was a tennis player here at NKU. What did that mean to your family, being a family affair here?
Yeah, I remember sitting last year at the Hall of Fame inductee and watching my mom and having her moment, and I was so happy for her to see everything she went through as a player. She doesn't talk about it much, but to hear the stories from others, and Coach Winstel, and she tells me about all those Coach Winstel stories, but seeing her have her moment on stage, and then realizing I get that opportunity, and knowing Bill Akers, my great uncle, on the baseball field, and my dad played here. So much like Brenden, NKU is family, NKU is home, and just being able to be just a small part of the athletic department for a long time now is something that I'll always cherish.
When you were recruited here, you were originally recruited by Dave Beasled. You committed to Dave Beasled. And then after your senior year, Dave Beasled was no longer the head coach, and John Branden became the head coach. What was that transition period like for you? Was there ever a time where you thought, maybe I'm not going to NKU anymore, or did you immediately catch on with John?
It was a roller coaster, up and down, emotions going everywhere. It's like you go through the recruiting process and you don't know where your home's going to be for the next 4 years. I was before the transfer portal, so it really was a 4-year commitment. And you finally make that decision, you settle in, you get some gear, and you tell everyone you're going there, and then the coach leaves, and you're like, well, is this where I'm going to go? Like, I don't know. This is what I thought it was going to be, and now it's not going to be that. But for me, it kind of worked out really well. I mean, Coach Branden comes in. I know the family. I played for his brother Grant 2 years at Newcastle, knew his dad, knew his mom. And he called me that first night and was like, hey, I still want to honor it. Let's do this together. I know where you come from. I know how you've been coached. And at the end of the day, I committed to the university. I committed to the athletic department. I committed to NKU. Even though Coach Beasled and his staff were a big part of the reason of that, it was still the university and still where I wanted to be. So I put my faith in Coach Branden, and I'd say it all worked out pretty well.
Coach, did you ever have any conversations like that when you were taking over a program where you're trying to maybe keep a recruit you wanted?
Yeah, like when I came here, right, we were talking about 3 really important players returning from a championship level team. And so that's always part of the process. And the best thing you can ever do in recruiting is keep the good players that you have. And so a really smart move by John Branden to make sure that he kept this guy.
Drew, one of the big rumors or sort of legendary parts of your story was that you were such a great golfer in high school. And everyone always said when you got to NKU, you might also golf while you were here. Mm-hmm. Was that ever a real thing, or how much was that considered?
It was more than real. I knew Coach Landrum since I was, yay big. Like, I played on his junior tour since I was 6. So for the last 12 years, I knew Coach Landrum. And talks kind of came about. I kind of knew in high school the adrenaline rush, the atmosphere of basketball. That's kind of where I wanted to pursue. But they kind of threw out the idea, hey, what if you wanted to do both? And I kind of entertained it, but I originally committed for basketball. On my official visit, Coach Landrum was there and said, hey, we're going to give you the opportunity if you want to. It's in your court. And I was like, let's do basketball, keep it open. We'll see when I enroll. And with the coaching switch, and once I got a taste of what it takes, I quickly realized that doing 2 sports was not for me. It might be doable, but you couldn't put your 100% effort into one, and that's just not who I am. And then come a 5th year, I graduated, and you have 5 years to compete in sports. So I could have did a 5th year of golf. And I sat in Coach Landrum's office. I'm like, what's this look like? I want to do my master's. And we talked, and I actually was on the team for about a week. I told him, let's do it. And he's like, all right. So I was on the team for a week, and something just didn't feel right. Again, I couldn't commit 100% to it, and I felt like I was taking someone else's spot, and that just wasn't right. So I called Coach Landrum back and said, I really appreciate it, but it's just not for me.
I'll tell you, one of the great things about this guy, besides obviously being a great player, we talk about 5 years and get the phone call. That's what they refer to as, I think, a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Right? This guy's also a great supporter. Shows up at practices, does television for games, is sitting courtside for a lot of the games, and really bleeds black and gold. And when you have a guy, Drew, like you, that's been so important to our program as a player, continue to support it, I just want to tell you, it means a lot to us that you're there and have your presence at the games, because what you've done for this program is really immeasurable. And at the end of the day, as Coach Shields touched on last show, right, mm-hmm. Rick, we're all about the players. That's the only thing that we're here for, and what makes the program great. And no one's done a better job of that than you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Coach. None of us are bigger than the program. And I said when coming here, I didn't know when success was going to come. Going to Division I, a new school, you don't know when that's going to come. But I just wanted to be a small part of that foundation, whether it was in my time or in times going down the road. Northern Kentucky is home. And I knew I wanted to be around the program when it achieved that success. Never did I think I was going to come in year 2. But just being a very, very small part of it is really special to me.
I don't think I'm going to break ground here for you, but you don't necessarily look the part of a guy who's going to be an All-American and lead his school in scoring and everything at the Division I level. I remember I covered high school sports for the Enquirer, and I was covering the 9th Region Tournament your senior year. And there was a lot of talk that year. Was played at BB&T Arena at the time, now Truist Arena. And a lot of people saying, like, can Drew McDonald actually cut it at the Division I level? When did you, first of all, did you use that as fuel? People always saying that. And second of all, when did you know, like, you're not just going to be able to cut it at the Division I level, but like you're really good at the Division I level?
I mean, it's easy to use it as fuel. It's for me, it wasn't more so trying to prove people wrong and say, oh, you couldn't do it. I knew what I was capable of. I knew the quality my parents instilled in me, how I grew up, my work ethic. So it was more so, hey, let's go showcase that off. And coming in, it was just a day by day. It really was a process. It's a cliche saying. I'm in sales, so I use cliches and sayings all the time. But it was every day. Again, I didn't know when it was going to come. I mean, I came in behind Jalen Billups, who was the face of the program at the time. So I think he helped a lot, just seeing what it takes to have success at that level from that same position and going against him every day. And just continuing to grow. And there's little nuggets of at practice or in a game when something would click and it would just be like, all right, the game's starting to slow down. I'm starting to be able to see this differently, or I was able to analyze a defense or be able to pick up on different actions. And just each game kind of gained more and more confidence until really that offseason going into my sophomore year, putting just an incredible amount of work in with Coach Brenden and Levon Holland, who was my roommate and point guard, and just realizing we have something special here. It's just a matter of can we take it from the practice court, the film room, onto the court on game nights.
I'm going to guess it didn't hurt when the coaches started saying, hey, no one shoots unless Drew touches the ball first, right? That probably helped a little bit.
That helps a little bit. When you get touches and have great teammates around you.
That's good coaching.
That's just good coaching. You had so many great games, personal milestones, achievements throughout your career. When I start talking about it, what immediately comes to mind? What's the biggest memory that jumps out to you?
I mean, just the 2 titles. I mean, people can say it, you can think about all the individual stuff, but it's the 2 titles. That's what you play for. That's when you walk back into the arena and you see the banners hanging. That's what they're there for. And they're both so unique in their individual way. The 2017 was my sophomore year. It's the first time we did it, first time eligible. That's special. And then my senior year, anything as a senior special. But also we're coming off an upset loss as the 1 seed. We were supposed to win it. There's kind of some doubts. We lost Levon Holland, Jordan Garnett, some big pieces. Could we do it? Wright State was the darling. So just to kind of help lead that team back to the tournament my senior year and go out on top. I'm not going to pick because they're both special in my heart, but those 2 stick out more so.
Well, I've got another question for you about that. You played Kentucky as a sophomore in the NCAA tournament. You played Texas Tech as a senior in the NCAA tournament. Which game did you think you had the better chance of pulling the upset?
Going into the game, Texas Tech. After the game, it was Kentucky.
Really?
Texas Tech was the best team I played, and it frankly wasn't close. Well, a lot of people forget they went to the championship game and lost in overtime to Virginia without their starting big man, who got hurt in the semifinal games, who was so important to their defense and what they did.
Huge.
So if they just had him, I think they win that game by 10-15. I mean, they beat Gonzaga by 20. They ran through that regional. I think we were like the closest game until the Final Four. That Texas Tech team was unreal.
You played in 2 NCAA tournaments. You had an NIT in between there. What's the difference between the 2 postseason tournaments? Is there a huge gap?
I mean, there is. It's at the end of the day, it is the NCAA versus the NIT, and one game you're playing at a home site on not ESPN, but you're the other game, the other tournament. The NCAA, it's Selection Sunday. Your name's on the bracket. There's branding everywhere. There is a huge difference there. We got a great draw on the NIT and got Louisville, so we still had a chance to have that in-state rivalry, big game for us. Almost pulled off that upset as well. But, I mean, the NCAA tournament, there's nothing like it. I mean, it's like saying, you want to play in the Holiday Bowl in college or the Super Bowl? Like, let's be honest. So that NCAA tournament is special.
Did you ever consider playing professionally after school? Because I know a lot of fans talked about that after your career. Were asking me, like, what's he doing now? What's he up to? What was your situation like after you graduated?
So I had a lot of opportunities. And I remember preseason, Coach Brenden sat down with me and said, hey, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to get a lot of phone calls as a coach, like just being candid and honest. You're going to have agents hit your line after every game. Like, let's make an agreement. I'll help you in any way possible after the season. Let's both put those aside. Let's have the season, and then we'll discuss. And I honored my end of that for sure. I had agents hitting me up, calling me at games, and I'd say hi to them and entertain, but I'm like, hey, I'm not talking about this. I don't want to worry about it. I want to end my college career with that being my 100% focus. And we lost on a Thursday, and I remember that weekend we were in the subway by campus, and Coach goes, all right, what do you want to do? I'm like, dang, Coach, like, we just lost. Like, he's like, but I kind of had my mind made up. I kind of knew it was the end of the road for my basketball career at that point. But I told him, hey, here's the list of agents that I've been contacted. If you could help me out, talk to them. And he did so and gave me all the information I needed. And it was just time to move on. I had a couple people, Cole Murray, one of my best friends, told me, he goes, you'll know when it's time. Because I always gave him a little bit for not at least trying out. Because, I mean, he could shoot the ball at 6'8". Like, that translates.
Terrific.
So he told me, you'll know when it's time. And I kind of just knew it was time to hang it up and start my professional career and stay home and be around family.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. I know people are listening to this thinking, wait, you missed a big part of this interview. You forgot to ask him about a very important play. We're going to do that when we come back. You're watching the Darrin Horn Show, presented by St. Elizabeth Healthcare.
Do you have an experienced ACL doc you can recommend?
I'm right here.
Can you tailor treatment to me?
I'm right here. Is it possible to get medical advice in the middle of the night?
I'm right here.
At St. Elizabeth, we provide a faithful commitment to the community, innovative treatments, and unsurpassed advancements in care. We understand you have questions, and at St. Elizabeth, we personalize care with answers you need.
We live with you, build with you, grow up with you, and dream with you. At Central Bank, we belong to the same communities you do. You're our neighbors, friends, and business partners. And through the relationships we build with you every day, we consistently serve you better. That's what highly personal banking is all about. We start with you.
It starts with the slice to make fresh cut fries, the squeeze to make fresh lemonade, and the sizzle of the sub. Oh yeah, pin-station.com.
Join Kentucky Wild and make a difference for our threatened wildlife. Your membership supports opportunities to experience wildlife conservation projects side by side with the Kentucky Wild team and receive some sweet gear too. Join today. Annual memberships start at $25.
Here to try to get the ball with two defenders. They get it into Tate. 8 seconds to go. Tate across midcourt. Tate off a screen. Out front McDonald for three. Shot is good! With 1.6 seconds to go. NKU takes the lead, and NKU wins the game. And a three-pointer by Drew McDonald with 1.6 seconds to go. That looked like it might have been tipped when he took the shot.
And there was the big shot there from Drew McDonald. This is our film breakdown segment presented by Central Bank. Central Bank, we start with you. Now, we were just talking during the break. We had Greg Campy on this show earlier this season, and every time we see Greg Campy, the head coach from Oakland, he wants to talk about that play right there, which I'm not sure why, because it feels like it would be painful for him to keep reliving over and over. But Drew, as you sit back there, you watch that play out, what's going through your head? What do you remember about it?
It's just a special moment. Everyone has that one moment or two moments that they think of, and it's hard not to think of that one right there as a senior in the semifinals of the conference tournament, kind of a do-or-die situation. It wasn't like we were tied. It was, I make the shot, we move forward, I miss, we're done. And I just think about the preparation that was put in. I mean, how many times I sat in the gym with Coach Shoemate and shot that same shot over and over and over again, and you just never know when you're going to have to use it. And just being prepared to have those reps in and living the rewards was awesome.
Coach, we talk about it all the time. You can draw up the perfect play to put your players in position, but they still have to knock down the shot. And that was one of those memorable moments where you just got to have faith in your best player, right?
There's no question. You know, your two best players, Jalen Tate's a good guy to have the ball late as well. And I think it speaks volumes to what Drew meant to that team and has meant to this program now looking back, that, hey, as he said, we're going to live and die playing through Drew McDonald.
Yeah, and then Drew, the thing is that a lot of people, I think, remember that as the shot that won the championship, but that was actually the semifinals.
You don't have a chance to win it if the big fella doesn't knock that down.
Exactly right. Then you guys had to go on and take it on your rival Wright State in the championship game, but that one was really never in doubt. That had to be pretty fun to hit the game winner there and then win the championship pretty handily.
Yeah, it was the semifinal game. We were the second one, so Wright State was already won and at home and watching. And I kind of like to think they were hoping that shot didn't go in. Just, think like Oakland or us, but like we said, we put the ball in Jalen Tate's hands and said, hey, make a play. We're going to go up and we're going to slip the screen out. If two go with me, take it, make the right decision. And we trusted him with that play. But in the semifinals, I can go one of two ways. A big emotional victory like that. You win and then you have that downfall, that let down the next night, or that can compel you and carry you momentum going into the next game. And what was interesting about that night, I think there might even be a video out there somewhere. It showed our celebration. wasn't that much of a celebration. Yes, on the court, exciting the emotion, but once we got back to the locker room, it really was workmanlike. Like, we knew we weren't done yet. Like, yes, we hit a shot, we moved on, but it means nothing unless we came out the next night. And I think that showed. We had a whole team effort against Wright State. I mean, I think Zadai Robinson came off the bench, hit 3 threes. Dantez Walton had a big game. Jalen Tate carried us as always, and it was never in doubt. I think it ended up as 11, but I want to say we were up like 18 or 20 at half, and it was one of those moments that was like nice to kind of not sweat it. We sweated the one in the semifinals, but not having to sweat the finals was pretty nice.
It's a great memory for a lot of fans out there, and I'm sure a great memory for you. Congratulations on the Hall of Fame. Thanks so much for doing the show. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Coach. I really appreciate everything you're doing for the program, and this show was awesome, and thank you guys for letting me be a small part of it.
Thanks for being here.
You've been watching another episode of the Darrin Horn Show presented by St. Elizabeth Healthcare.
We live with you, build with you, grow up with you, and dream with you. At Central Bank, we belong to the same communities you do. You're our neighbors, friends, and business partners. And through the relationships we build with you every day, we consistently serve you better. That's what highly personal banking is all about. We start with you.
One more stop, boys.
Dasher and Dasher, Prancer, Santa.
At Meijer, we're always working harder to help make the holidays a good deal better.
How thoughtful. But where's the milk?